President Trump is in the air on his way back to the United States with what sources say is a gentleman's agreement with Iran. Well, he touted the praise that the agreement yielded from other world leaders who were here at the G7 summit and who very much want this war to end. The president is flying back to a Washington that is filled with skepticism, anger, and outright disbelief. And I'm talking about from Republicans and his own allies. Initially, the president argued today that the document doesn't signal the end of what's going on with Iran and therefore didn't warrant his own famous signature.
This is a memorandum of understanding. It's very important, but it might not be the kind of a document that I should be signing.
But he did ultimately sign the document, actually again tonight. His aides posted this video of the president putting that signature on a hard copy of the agreement as he was having dinner with the French president at the Palace of Versailles. It was not immediately clear why, given what the president said earlier, and also how sources had told us that both the president and the vice president had already signed an electronic version on Sunday. Regardless, the details in this page-and-a-half document run counter to what the president has been demanding throughout this war and going back years. There are 14 specific points in the memo that has now been confirmed by the White House. The very first point listed says that both sides will, quote, refrain from the threat or use of force against each other, and is something the president already seems to be hedging on.
If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head. It doesn't get done in 60 days, that's all right. We go back to bombing. I don't want to do that because it's so good. But we might have to.
And the president, who back in February when this war started, urged the Iranian people to keep protesting and that help was on the way and that this was their chance for generational change inside their country. He just committed the United States to actually stay out of Iran's domestic affairs with his signature on this document tonight. Regarding another promise that a bigger, more detailed deal is just 60 days away. Also, after months of insisting that the Strait of Hormuz was already open, the president did acknowledge today that it was part of what drove him to make this deal.
The strait will never be open because people that own billion-dollar ships, these ships cost $1 billion. They don't like sailing ships or having their ships participate when you go up the coast and you go through the strait and there are rockets flying over your head. They want to protect their $1 billion investment. You wouldn't have oil for maybe years.
According to this document that the president has now signed, Iran has only committed to allow the, quote, safe passage of commercial vehicles with no charge for 60 days only. And the fact that Iran stands to gain access to hundreds of billions of dollars is also proving harder tonight for the administration to explain and justify to their own allies. While the White House insists that the money will only change hands if Iran meets some undefined performance goals, there are key provisions that go into place immediately after signing. Those include allowing Iran immediately to start selling its oil per the signature on this agreement. Sources say that could earn Iran $60 to $70 billion per year. Also in this agreement, the unfreezing of Iranian assets, which could be upwards of $100 billion. Now, 2 days after the president said those reports about a $300 million reconstruction fund for Iran were fake news, that provision is indeed in the agreement that the administration unveiled today, only it's $300 billion, not $300 million. The president says that money is going to come from other nations investing in Iran, not from the United States and not from taxpayer dollars. But of course, there are still questions that remain about how that's going to work and how the United States is going to play a role in setting up that fund, as is in the agreement. Part of what's also striking as you read through several of these points that the administration confirmed today is what's not in the agreement, including several of the objectives that the president laid out at the beginning of this war.
We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world.
Our objectives are very simple and clear. We are systematically dismantling the regime's ability to threaten America or project power outside of their borders.
Now, almost remarkably, the president is arguing that Iran should be able to keep its missile program.
I said, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to let Saudi Arabia have missiles, but they can't have them? Yes, sir. It doesn't work that way, you know? It doesn't work that way, and missiles aren't the problem.
Overall, the president is arguing that the last 4 months of this war, the economic pain that has been felt around the world, and everything that Iran is now getting as part of this agreement is worth it to prevent them from having a nuclear weapon.
And that's what it was all about. That was about 99%. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They can't develop it, buy it. They can never have a nuclear weapon.
But compare the language that the president just signed off on tonight. You saw him signing this document. In it, it says this, quote, "The Islamic Republic of Iran reaffirms that it shall not procure or develop nuclear weapons." Compare that with the language that was in the document President Obama signed that said, quote, "Under no circumstances will Iran ever seek to develop or acquire any nuclear weapons." The reality tonight is that the president has signed his name to a document that achieves few of the objectives that he laid out at the beginning of this war, something I tried to question him on as he was leaving that press conference today.